So in the previous episode, we implemented the backend of a password reset system using Node.js. In this episode, we implement the front end of this system using reactjs. We build on the React login system that we created in a past episode. I'll link it up here and also in the description below. This is another episode of ToThePointCode, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is to head to the command line and open our project in the code editor. So inside the code editor, we see all the files and directories that we are working with. Before we write any code, let's run the project. So now we can see the output of our code. And the user is already logged in, so let's log out. Good. Now the first thing we need to do is to find a way to start the password reset process. So on the login page that we have here, we need to provide the link that the user will click on when there is the need to reset the password. So let's go to the code editor and provide a link. So inside the code editor, we visit the login.js file under the pages directory. So we go to the bottom of the page. Now we see that we have an extra text component here, so we copy and paste that. Now we change the content of the first one to forgotten password. And the link will be resetted. Now this link will lead to a page where the user will provide the email address and we'll call the page forgotten password, which we'll create shortly. So back in the browser, let's see the output of the code. We see that forgotten password is displayed here, and we have the link here which is supposed to be resetted. Yes, it is working now. Now let's create our forgotten password page in the pages directory. Now this page will be similar to the login, so let's copy the content of the login.js file. Now we make some changes. Now for the initial values of the form, we need to add redirect URL. This will be required by the backend. Now this will point to a password reset page that we are yet to create. Now if your application has been hosted, then definitely this will be a different link. It won't be localhost. Now let's change the title here also. Once again, for the initial values, we don't need a password. Also for the validation schema, we get rid of the password. Now inside the form, we get rid of the password input field. And for the email field, we make a few changes. For the label, we'll make it enter your email address. Once we've done that, let's visit the app.js and add a route. Once we've done that, the link on the sign-in page should work fine. And now we see that we are requested to enter our password. but we forgot to get rid of these things here, so let's get rid of them. Also, we forgot to change the content of the button. Good. Now for the Redux action that is called when we click on the button, we want to make some changes. So we'll visit the actions in the auth directory. So for the start, we copy and paste the login user action. Now we change the endpoint to request password reset. Now if our request fails, we want to check for all the possibilities and assign the error to email, since that's the only input field that we have. Now over here, instead of checking for success, we'll check for pending. Now we want to fetch the email from the credentials and move to the email sent page. So we'll not make use of any of the codes here. So to move to the email sent page, we'll make use of history. Now because we've used the email sent page already for the email verification, we want to pass some extra parameters. We are passing this true value here because in addition to the email that is passed, we want to know whether the call to the email sent is because of a password reset process. So at the email sent route, we see that the first parameter we are taking is the email. But now because we've used the page already, we want to add an extra parameter of reset. That is, we want to know whether the call to the page is because of a reset process, and we return something else in the file. But we add a question mark to make it an optional parameter. We also want to make the user email optional. Now let's visit the email sent page and handle the parameters. So in addition to the email, we grab the reset parameter. So first, we handle the case whereby the reset and email are both provided. In that case, we will return a password reset message. So we copy and paste this whole block. Now over here, we will not need any button. Now for the regular content of the email sent, we'll check for the state where the email is provided but the reset is not provided. Once we do this, submitting the password reset request should return the right page. Now let's go to the forgotten password page and import the action that we've created and use it. So at the top, we import forgotten password. We replace the login user. There is no need to log the values. Remember, this action is the one we created in the user actions.js file. That is this one. Next up, we create the page that will be redirected to from the email. We will call this page password reset. So we create that under the pages directory. Once again, it will be similar to the login.js, so we copy the content and paste it. Now we make some changes. We change the title as well. And we get rid of the text at the bottom. Now for this situation, instead of the email field, we will need two of the password fields, one for the new password and the other to confirm it. So we get rid of the email field. So we copy and paste this. We change the name to new password. For the button, we will change it to submit. Now once we've done that, we need to make some changes to the initial values. First, we don't need the email. We change this to new password. And we add the value for the confirm new password. Now what happens at the back end is that when the user visits this page, the URL comes with some get parameters, that is a user ID and a reset string. So we need to fetch these parameters from the URL and pass it back to the server as part of the request. So make use of the use params here. But instead of the email, we fetch for the user ID and the reset string. Now we add this to the initial values. In a JavaScript object, if the name of the property and the value is the same, you can just keep one. So in this case, there is no need to write user ID : user ID. You can just put user ID and it should work fine. Now for the validation, we get rid of the email. We change the password to new password. Now for the confirm new password, we have to ensure that it is the same as the new password. So in here, we make use of the one-off function to ensure that the confirm new password is one of the values of the new password. That is, there should be a match. Now once again, on submitting, we need an appropriate function to handle this. We'll call this function reset password and we'll create it in the actions file. So inside the actions file, we copy and paste the forgotten password. Now we change the endpoint to reset password. Also, if the request fails, we check for only the password and set the error message to the password field. The field is new password. To make the check more accurate, we will convert the message to lowercase. Let's do the same in the forgotten password action. I forgot to do that. So we convert each one to lowercase. Now back in the reset password, if our request does not fail, we check for success instead. Once we have the success, we move to the email sent page, but this time we will not pass any parameters. So inside the email sent file, we'll make some changes once again. Now we check for when both the email and reset values are not available. So let's copy and paste this block of code. So we just negate the user email. For the title, we'll change it to password reset. So over here, we tell the user that the password has been reset successfully and now the user may log in. So we change the link here to login. And we'll point it to the login page. But this time around, we are not providing the email for the user. Now once we've done that, we can save and try out the whole process. To try it out, the backend should also be running. So let's head to the command line and start both the backend and the front end. As you can see, the front end is already running. So we start the backend. Now our backend is also ready, so we can try it out. So on the home page, if you want to reset your password, you go to login, we click on reset password, and then we provide an email. So let's do that. Now we are told that a reset link has been sent to our email, so we check our email. Now checking the inbox, we see that we've received the reset email. Now we press on the link to proceed. Now we are taken back to the home page because I forgot to add the route in the app.js file, so let's do that quickly and come back. So inside the app.js file, we add the route. So we copy this and paste it. The route is password reset. And it will take the user ID and also the reset string. But these ones will not be optional. For the component, we will use password reset. So let's import it. Now once you've done that, everything should be fine. So let's click on the link again. Now clicking on the link, we are taken to the password reset page and we have the opportunity to enter our new password. Now we are told that our password has been reset successfully and we can now proceed to login. And now truly, we've been able to reset our password. If you have learned something in this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment about the video in the comment section below. You can also buy me a coffee using the link in the video description. And that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay safe.